I wanted to thank everybody who's contributed to this event. We have had an unbelievable time here in Rimouski. The host committee has been unbelievable. Alex Tanguay and his family, the owners of the Rimouski Oceanic, have been incredible hosts, and it goes without saying, but putting on an event like this is a major endeavor. And I know I speak on behalf of everybody at the WHL and the Medicine Hat Tigers when I say the hospitality has been very, very impressive. It's such a beautiful part of Canada, and we're thrilled to be here. We expect that we'll be able to do such a great job hosting, and similarly so in Kelowna next year.
Second Memorial Cup, Jamestown Medicine Hat News. Dan, second Memorial Cup for yourself as commissioner. What have you learned from this year and last year in Saginaw that you'll take to helping Kelowna get ready for their tournament next year?
Yeah, a year ago, I think I was just taking it all in, and it was, I've been to many special events in hockey and other sports over the years, and taking it all in and trying to understand. But I think the fabric of community that's built into Memorial Cup is something that's so special. And as a U.S. city and now a city out here in Quebec that is off the beaten path, right? And then you go to Kelowna, they're all different. And I think the idea of injecting something local, something unique, something that is in the spirit of the culture and community is what I'll expect to see from Kelowna. But I expect that we're also going to continue, as the predecessors have, to put on a world-class event. And something when people look at it, Kelowna recently hosted the Brier, and they'll have experience from that. We've seen major events like the Olympics hosted in BC before. I'm hoping we'll take the best of all of those things and bring it together and put on a great show.
What does it mean to the league to see the Tigers and the WHL team have success? And it's been 11 years since the WHL team has won the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. It's been a long time, and I think it's hard to take in that we're very competitive, right? Everybody involved in the sport wants to win, wants to be the best. The Memorial Cup is the event that people look at as the pinnacle. Everybody's proud to have won their championships, and that's a big, big accomplishment if you think about winning 4 up to 7 game series, and all the clubs have achieved that. And so being here and being in this moment is one that we're very much looking forward to. We're very proud of the organization and the players and the Tigers for what they've done. I'm so thrilled so many of the families have traveled to Rimouski. It's not an easy trek from the west, and I think that we've got 20 of 20 or something like that here. We've got a really great turnout, and I hope they have a chance to celebrate.
Daniel Raymond, Canadian Press. We saw that yesterday a couple of key players from WHL are leaving to the NCAA. What's your level of concern?
Got to do it right away. I think that I'd be lying if I said I'm surprised some players are elected to move on to the NCAA. We talk about this every single day, and the rules that changed whenever it was in November have had a cascade of effects and implications that we're all still learning about. We know, and we've authorized and welcomed NCAA scouts to attend our games and to be in our buildings over the course of the year. So we know they're watching, we know they're interested in our players, and we're not surprised at that. We are the best development environment in the world. NHL Central Scouting's numbers came up, and we were the highest, we had the most players of any development league. And so am I surprised that NCAA schools are interested in our players? I'm not. I think you're going to have to judge and evaluate this over a multi-year period. If you get really, really emotional about the news of the day, like Verhoff and Reshny aren't going to be the last guys that make this announcement. But if you make your evaluation on what you're going to do about that, without really seeing the bigger picture and the longer frame of things, I think there would be a mistake. And there's going to be more announcements. There's no question about it. We're thankful for the contributions they've made to the league. We wish them all the best. But what I can tell you is we are going to put the pedal to the metal as it relates to elevating standards and continuing to deliver the best development environment, both for players that are aspiring to be drafted to the NHL and then be most prepared to start in the NHL.
So why do you think so many players are leaving if you are the best?
Well, I don't know if so many players are leaving. I guess it depends what so many is. There's been a handful. Most of the players that have left have completed their eligibility or have completed their 19-year-old season. There's been very few underage, so to speak, players that or players who would be underage next year that are leaving. And so I guess it depends how you define that. But I think it's a unique time. I think that, there is an allure to something new and something different. And I think that in fairness, they're really good recruiters and they make it seem pretty awesome. But when they're recruiting, they don't talk to you about whether the scholarship's guaranteed for the time that you're there. They don't talk to you about how many players were in the transfer portal this year. I don't think. Last I checked, there were over 300 players in the NCAA, and it's pretty easy to do the math. 64, 65 teams times 20 to 25 players. 300 players in the transfer portal means they weren't happy with where they were, and they wanted something different than what they signed up for. And so I hope it goes very well for every player that leaves. But I think the reality of the fact is it's a business down there, and they have significant resources, and there's a great deal of allure to it. But let's see how it plays out over time.
Are you concerned that there might be now that the players can threaten to go to NCAA, that you might run into a situation where there are haves and have-nots in the WHL, where players can request trades to certain franchises or threaten to go to the WHL?
You know, we've always, I think, taken great care to try and assure a degree of parity around the league. Our ecosystem and our operating model doesn't work with haves and have-nots, so to speak. We have to create parallel environments across the 22, soon to be 23 WHL markets. So we're actually engaged in a pretty serious initiative right now around league operating standards and how do we continue to elevate those. And it's across all dimensions, whether it's nutrition, mental health, travel. I would already say our education standards sit at best in class, and we're going to write $3 million in checks to universities for alumni, but we're going to continue to pump resources and investment into growing the standard across the leagues and then enforcing and policing it so that we're in a situation where all clubs feel like they've got an equal opportunity to attract players.
Alexis Village-Champagne, the Canadian Press French service. So it's
Okay.
a little bit different. Just how much is it just about money, do you feel? How much is that a factor, the fact that they might be gaining more financially against?
I'd be disappointed if it was a money thing, and the reason behind that is because if you're NHL bound, the amount of money that the average player could earn in NIL, name, image, likeness, is relatively low. Like, if players can earn $50,000 or $100,000 in NIL, it's taxable. Are you even eligible to get it if you're on an F1 student visa? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to make it to the NHL, your signing bonus on an entry-level contract is much more substantial than that. And so I don't think that it's driven largely by money. If it is, we'll find that out. But I'm going to ask. For guys who ask, I'm going to call them up and say, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like about your experience in the Western Hockey League, and what we can do to retain you. But I think at the end of the day, people are trying to figure out what that right ecosystem is for them. Everybody's development path is a little bit different, but I can assure you that we're going to be in a position to continue to develop and attract players.
Have you had some discussions already with some players?
Largely
regarding
with
that?
agents and parents at this stage, but there will be players. It's it hasn't been the off season yet, and so I try not to bug the guys into playing hockey.
Yeah. So what they share with you, the reasons behind it a little bit?
I think that usually you'll get something that is around, well, this is what we think is best for our individual situation. And, I'm not going to contest anybody. I do a lot of listening. My natural question would be, well, if you come back here at 19, you've got a chance to wear a letter on your jersey. You've got a chance to play in the top six if you're a forward. You have a chance to play power play and penalty kill. Are you going to have those opportunities? Who are the other players coming in to the school that they're going to? And I think that, the big differences, obviously, are the schedule, right? They play 30-plus games. We play 68, the Q 64, I believe. Regular season games, and some think that's a positive and some don't. We believe that it best equips you to be an NHL player, and we're able to do so in combination with an educational ecosystem that guys can move on, and if they're not playing pro, if they're not going to the next level, they can continue on and do NCAA. They can do youth sports, or they can go and join trade school, and we support all those directions.
And you mentioned it's probably an adjustment period. So how long do you expect that evaluation adjustment period?
Good question. I'd be shocked if some guys didn't come back at Christmas because they didn't think it was what they expected. And then, we'll find out some other guys that have great success with it. I think that the adjustment period will start to tell in the first 6 months, but probably will take a couple of years to really balance and find an equilibrium. It's my guess.
The Under Armour jersey deal, Bauer gear deal, Dan, how do you think that'll play in the WHL? And for clubs having to change their jerseys and their gear, remove surplus and bring in new jerseys, what is that going to do for clubs? And just speak to the new deal.
Yeah, we've had a fantastic relationship with CCM for many, many years, and they'll still be in our ecosystem. just not the lead providers. So you will see multiple brands, but the jerseys move into Under Armour is a substantial change. I think having an athletic brand of their caliber that does a lot of innovation and performance-oriented work is a great opportunity for our players to be in a position to be wearing the very best performance-oriented gear. And yes, it's uniforms, but it's training apparel, it's footwear, there are other dimensions of it that we think they'll benefit from. I'm certainly hopeful that Under Armour will put some marketing muscle behind it as well and bring a cool and kind of a youth infusion to our game, because it's really critically important around fan development, of the way we talk to fans, the way we share our stories with fans. And I think Under Armour and Bauer are in a position to do that. Bauer has done some tremendous things with their social media, with their athlete marketing, and I know they'll continue that.
Do you expect logos and colors to maybe update throughout the league, or any changes like that expected in the new jerseys?
I'll leave it to the clubs to articulate what they intend to do in and around their jerseys, but I think what I would say is we're certainly not requesting or mandating that clubs move away from any of their traditional color blocking or logos or anything like that. I think you can expect very much of the same in that regard, at least from the outset.